Yes, I'm doing a short video, and my question is, the people in the front of the church, what are you exactly teaching the world? Because from what I saw on, was it Friday? ELIAS Njau, the lessons we are getting from here are not the best. Because if you decide to be at the altar teaching people, you should also practice what you are teaching. If you don't practice what you are teaching, then it is going to affect not just you, but the people who follow you. Remember, every time you are before the altar and talking to people, you are like a teacher. And of course, they say a teacher can be judged in the worst way than the followers. Now, ELIAS Njau, recently, I think all of you know what he did. After separation with the wife, he did not take it. He went further to follow the wife, and after they had calls and met, he decided to chop her fingers. One hand, no finger at all. The other one, some are missing, and he cut him, I think he cut her about 18 times from what the wife reported when she was at Optimum Hospital. Now, this is one warning that many people should learn, that it's not necessarily people at the altar who are the best. Of course, we've had very many news from different people. And we've seen, for example, Paul Mackenzie taking people to the forest and then blackmailing them, making them sell everything they have. Then at the end of it, they die. So it was like he was just making money out of them, and then using part of the Bible, not the entire Bible, to fool these people and then lead them into a drain. We saw an example of a teacher who had been pulled into this, and so many people who had been prominent before. Now, if you look at Joshua Philip, you saw a story happening in Kenya. He was also attacking young girls and using them as sex pets. Now, he's not the first Joshua. Of course, TB Joshua in January 2024. He's a popular pastor we know in America, Black American, and he was judged with raping young girls. Of course, when we look at Daniel Mwiruri recently at Tigania Meru, we saw that he had introduced a cult. Hey, and I don't know why women become the easiest trap for these people. We could see a lot of women being told to bring around kids, and then they could later be killed. We could also see very funny situation whereby women were being sucked off their breasts. Of course, when you see some, I've already talked about this before. Anyway, before we go further, let's watch the short clip on ELIAS Njau and the wife who is battling with life now in hospital.
That his wife is here with the kid, so if he wanted to come in, but it was declined. They called for some other forces, security.
The brutality has sparked outrage, with leaders across the country condemning the atrocity and demanding swift action from security agencies to apprehend Njau and deliver justice for Wanjiku and her family. Samira Mohammed for TV 47, Nairobi.
While he was, I requested him to call it a quit, to let everything go.
Now, from what we've heard, it's very sad. A situation that, of course, before somebody decides to leave, there is something they have found that is not making them stay. And I don't know why people think marriage is something that is permanent. It cannot be permanent, because when situations can't hold, then it leads to separation. That is why there is separation, there is divorce. And if someone has asked for that, it is high time someone agrees, the partner agrees, because regardless of having business together or a family or marriage, it has an end when things can't hold. And of course, Elias Njau, you've just proved that you are not the right person for that lady, because if you ended up chopping her, it means we would have done worse even in marriage. She has gone through a lot of torture that she cannot explain. That is why she decided to walk out. Now, I'm not particularly saying that church people are bad, but sometimes it is always good to preach and do what you preach, because the Bible has no part whereby it says that a woman be beaten or even be cut. So where did you get this aspect of cutting your wife after you met? She explained clearly that she was trying to run away and even close the vehicle. But what you did, you picked the keys and then, put her in a situation where she could not run and then attacked her. So what lessons are you giving to other people? What are you trying to show about the church? Now, it's clear that sometimes people trust church people, especially pastors, sometimes fathers and what have you so much. I'm not saying that it's bad to trust them, but then from what we are seeing, then it means many people have to be very cautious. When it comes to spiritual matters, we don't have to play with God, because God does not say we come up with a cult, we rape, we rob, we brainwash. But that's what's happening in most churches. Like, people brainwashing. Sometimes they decide to marry a second wife and then they continue calling themselves pastors. They dump the first family and go wedding. We've seen such experiences. So if we look at biblical teachings, we don't have such things. Now, why do people become easily, predators? It is because it is easy to trust spiritual matters are not questioned. Many times we don't question anything about the Bible. And so we look at those who are in there as representatives of God. So we don't expect them to mess. Unfortunately, in the current situation, I'm telling you, as a child, as a mother, as a father, don't trust people in church fully. Trust God only. Of course, I've not said you walk against God or Jesus. Those are the only people who are trustworthy, the angels and what have you. Read your Bible and also interpret it so that you are not going to be brainwashed. Because if you look at the situation of Mackenzie, for example, it is a situation where people are brainwashed by some parts of the Bible. Read the Bible wholly and then understand it so that somebody does not just come to you overnight and convince you into bullshit. Now, if we look at the Catholic Church also, there are some situations where fathers have misused the church. For example, there was a Catholic parish of Ngong. Was it last year when an Ireland father was being investigated also for raping girls? And it's not the first nor the last. Some of them even end up marrying people's wives. And this is a situation that is not very good, because they have chosen to be in celibacy, but then go against what is expected. Now, if you look at South Africa, we had Tulani Kamode, who also did rape a given girl who was vulnerable. Now, they go for the vulnerable. If you go crying your problems in church, don't think the solution is with the pastor or father. Some of them, I'm not saying all, some of them might decide to abuse you. Another situation is where women tend to trust people so much, especially the church people, as I've said. And of course, when you trust somebody and they know you trust them, sometimes it's easy for you to become a source of attack in whichever way. The other thing is, if you don't read the Bible yourself, of course, anybody will tell you anything and will pin on a given verse and you'll be convinced. The other thing that I've seen about many women is that they tend to think you cannot learn outside the church. Yes, the Bible is the great book where we learn a lot of things, but there are a lot of lessons we can also learn from other people who are experts. We can also read, research, instead of only relying on one person who will now learn your weakness and abuse you. So that is just my message for today. I hope you've subscribed to the channel and continue watching. Bye bye for now.
Ministry Church, who allegedly attacked his partner Florence Wanjiku on Thursday night with a panga, leaving her for the dead in their home in Nakuru's Olive Estate before going into hiding. And as Samira Mohammed now tells us, Wanjiku is currently receiving treatment at the Optimum Hospital in Nakuru.
Hours after President William Ruto condemned the alarming surge in femicide and gender-based violence in the country, a manhunt is underway for Pastor ELIAS of Jesus Compassion Ministry Church for allegedly stabbing his lover at their Rungai home in Nakuru County.
I am aware that most of these cases of murder of women by men have been investigated and prosecuted.
According to the victim, Florence Wanjiku, the two met earlier in the day before heading to an entertainment joint. Wanjiku left for home unaware that Njau had secretly followed her at her gate. He allegedly attacked her in a vicious assault.
When I proceeded home, he decided to be left there for some refreshment. He followed me home, and when I was at the gate, he came attacking me.
Wanjiku recounts the horror as she fought for her life, Njau chopping off her fingers and stabbing her repeatedly, leaving her with 18 stab wounds. Her neighbors intervened just in time to save her.
So I tried to protect myself with my hands, and I lost my fingers, all of them in this hand. The remaining one are fractured.
Speaking to TV47 from her hospital bed, the mother of two revealed that Njau attempted to access the facility where she has been admitted but was blocked by security officers.
And later on, he came here. He was at the gate, and he told the gate man that his wife is here with the kid. So he wanted to come in, but it was declined. They called for some other forces, security.
The brutality has sparked outrage, with leaders across the country condemning the atrocity and demanding swift action from security agencies to apprehend Njau and deliver justice for Wanjiku and her family. Samira Mohammed for TV47, Nairobi.